This episode of the Wayang Crew podcast is brought to you by Times Cineplex. Yo, welcome back everyone to yet another episode of the Wayang Crew podcast. It's me, Kev, as usual, speaking to you about all things movies, especially movies that are playing here in Brunei Darussalam. This week, it's a big week. We're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. It has been sweeping the nation since Wednesday, and we're going to give you our thoughts. But first, it's my co-host, it's Del.
Hello.
What is up, dude?
I asked first. No, I'm kidding. There's something going on this weekend.
It's called, what's it called? Infinity...
It's like a...
Finishing line?
Finishing lines. Fishing line? Fishing hook.
What?
No?
Something like...
I'll let the person in charge talk about it later.
Later on. All right, so you've been busy with that. I've been kind of busy with that as well. I'm kind of involved. I have some of my stuff there. Up next is the other co-host. She's back. It's Nikkei.
Hello.
What's up?
Something's up on the weekend.
Everyone is like so secretive this week. I wonder why.
We'll just wait for the right person to give the information.
Sure. All right. Up next, it's Timmy.
Hey.
Yo.
Yes.
So how many times did you watch Avengers this week?
Twice.
All right.
Avengers finishing line. Avengers Endgame.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I announced it. Yes, we were talking about Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
I think you'll be in the title of this podcast.
Yeah. Up next, she's back as well this week because it is the biggest movie of this year. It's Nazu. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
I'm all right.
Cool.
How many times have you watched Avengers Endgame?
I've only watched it twice.
Oh,
I'm planning to watch it again, but
This weekend? Yeah.
time, not this weekend, maybe in like 2 weeks after I watch all the other movies again.
All the other 22 movies.
Yeah.
So you've watched it twice. You're gonna go back to watch the other.
From Iron Man.
And
Actually,
then-
no, I might watch it from Captain Marvel to what do you call
Timeline.
it?
Chronological
Timeline,
order.
yeah.
Okay. You've brought our future co-host. No, not future co-host. He's now a regular, and our future host of the Bruja show.
What?
It's Afif. Welcome back.
Oh, hey. Hi. What?
Look at him fainting.
He's like starstruck. Like, oh
Yeah,
wow.
I am.
oh
like,
wow.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Okay. Never mind. Moving on. We have a big panel this week, and finally, it's Kai.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up?
Something big is happening this weekend. I'm super happy to announce that I'm the best man at my friend Damien's wedding. So I'm
Nice.
super excited for that.
Is that real?
Yeah, no, I he just told me today, so I'm stoked. He and I had a very interesting friendship. We didn't talk to each other for a couple of years, so I'm glad he asked.
Kind of like Cap and Iron Man.
Why are you gonna make me sad?
I don't know. There is something else that's going on this weekend. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
I don't want to overshoot myself. What are we talking about?
Infinity
my
Con.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, what if something else is happening? There's also a J-boxing, if anybody cares. But
I went there.
makes sense. Yeah, so there's Infinity Con. It is the second Infinity Con. It's called Infinity Con Strikes Back. By the time this podcast recording would be out, the event would be over. But as of last count, just now, over the last 2 days, we've had 984 people come in.
Serious?
Nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty good.
All right. As I mentioned up top, this week we will be talking about Avengers Endgame, which is the biggest movie in the world right now. But first, let's get to the news as usual. First up, let's go through some trailers that dropped this week. We got a trailer for Will Smith and his new movie called Gemini Man. Did you guys check this out?
Yeah.
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 It's about Will Smith being hunted by his younger
his
son.
younger
Okay, so am I
self.
the only one who got like super crazy iRobot / Bad Boy / Aladdin vibes from this trailer?
You got it.
No.
You actually
You're
got
not
it.
crazy.
Just you.
Yeah, it's so crazy to see
Will
young
Smith-
Will Smith chase old Will Smith
Yeah.
and Ang Lee, whose Life of Pi was so beautiful.
It
Mind blown.
reminded me of Enemy of the State.
Yeah, it's so good.
I know, right?
There's a lot of running. Yeah, there's a lot of running and shooting.
It's
And
crazy.
this movie's coming out in October. And as you guys already mentioned, I mean, so beautifully.
Jaden.
It's Will Smith, and
Willow.
he's there's no real exposition in the trailer. He's being hunted by a younger self. Like, you know, I guess it's a
Yeah.
clone, but we'll just have to wait and
I think they
see.
use the same
Technology.
de-aging technology of Marvel.
No, actually, I think it's the up-aging technology, because I think the old Will Smith's the CGI.
Oh, I couldn't even tell.
No, technology is crazy. I'm not even here right now. It's green screen.
It reminds me of the movie Looper.
Yes, a little bit, yeah.
Which was directed by Ryan Johnson, who ruined Star Wars.
No, it did not.
Kai is all over the place on this one.
Looper wasn't great either, so
I'm really tired.
Take that back.
Looper was amazing.
Looper was not bad.
All right.
It was really good.
okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So we talked about Will.
offended
We talked about Will Smith, and here's a franchise that he was involved in, and it's getting sort of like a new breath of life. It's Men in Black International. We got another
Yeah.
trailer this week. It's Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson who are the new agents in this Men in Black universe. We saw Emma
Oh, people
Thompson,
from Asgard.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, we s-
M and H. Yeah.
H, yeah, M and H. What did you guys think about this?
H&M.
I'm glad Chris Hemsworth lost all that weight.
Please elaborate. You mean from
Wait,
Endgame?
wait, hey.
He buffed up for the role, you know? For the
Yeah,
role.
Yeah, that's
I
why
feel he's
he
pretty
lost
lean.
weight.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the trailer. It looks like it's gonna be a great summer blockbuster, and dynamic between him and Tessa Thompson just looks really
So good.
Yeah, I mean it's carried over from Ragnarok.
Yeah,
we see a little
and-
bit of it in
Yeah,
Endgame.
they've worked together quite a number of times, and I love this new direction that they're taking the franchise. It's
Yeah.
Okay, it looks wacky. Maybe
Yeah.
not Barry Sonnenfeld wacky, but wacky enough, I guess.
Yeah.
And there was like a was that supposed to be Agent K and
yeah. So there was
J&K?
there was like a reference to them.
Reference to them,
Yeah.
they're not in the movie, but they are.
like
referred.
I hope Taika Waititi is an alien in this.
I hope so too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Another one.
It's Coke.
Coke, yeah.
Hey.
He's calling me a noob again.
All right, it's all MCU this week here on the podcast because we have watched Avengers Endgame. We just talked about Men in Black International, which stars two of the stars of the MCU as well. Chadwick Boseman has a movie coming out, and it's called 21 Bridges, and it's produced by Joe and Anthony Russo. And it kind of looks like a movie which I think he needs at this point because he's been labeled as
The Black Panther.
the Black Panther, and like you see him in public, like that's it. He's
Yeah.
Black Panther.
Wakanda forever.
I'm sure
I'm
he.
seeing James Brown.
You think James Brown?
I'm sure he gets tired of people saying "Wakanda forever" to him.
I
There
mean,
was-
if I made a few $1 million part of a franchise that's worth 20 billion, then I would probably get sick at some point.
Is it worth 20 billion?
The MCU, yes.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, including merchandising, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks good. 21.
yeah, 21
Yeah.
Bridges.
I want to watch
I was
it.
gonna say Jump Street. Looks good. So I think I like this kind of cop procedural
Yeah.
kind of style. Film.
It's very 90s.
yes. It
There was a lot of
really
these
is.
kind of movies from the
Yeah.
90s.
Taylor Kitsch is in it.
Taylor
How do you
Kitsch
pronounce
is
this name?
he's the living embodiment of reincarnation because his career keeps getting resurrected.
Isn't he from
He's Gambit.
Yeah, Gambit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked him as Gambit.
Box office didn't.
Battlefield.
He was in Battlefield.
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Which
I like
box office
it
didn't.
too.
also TB is just extra generous. He was also in John Carter.
I love that one too.
I hated that movie.
I didn't see that movie.
Virginia.
Oh,
Oh,
shut
I
up.
don't know why people don't
Like
like that
every time
movie.
they say Virginia, I'm just like, shut up.
Okay.
I've never seen it.
All right, so 21 Bridges, basic rundown, is just a story of this guy played by Chadwick Boseman who, as a young child, lost his father because of the father was a police officer and was killed in the line of duty. Now he is a detective and he wants to solve this crime where a couple of cops have been killed. And the reason why it's called 21 Bridges is because they close all the bridges that surround.
Coming in and out of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So yeah,
It looks good.
looks good, and it's
looks
produced by the Russos, so we have
So-
come to expect such great things from them.
Yeah.
Like this movie called Avengers Endgame, which is now on its worldwide release.
Mind blown.
Mind blown. China is reportedly cracking down on price gouging, which has been happening there. So what happened was, like how we watched the premiere day, and tickets are all a standard price here, and I'm assuming for most places in the world. In China, the demand was so great that tickets were being price gouged by people who managed to get them in the couple of hours of pre-sale. Now, the prices went up to 300 yuan, which is about 60 Brunei dollars.
My God.
For
That's like the Olympics opening and closing ticket situation.
yeah.
That seems very specific. How many Olympics have you attended? That's a
Definitely not the one in London.
The one that I didn't get my tickets because it was too expensive.
Yeah, that seems oddly specific.
personal experience.
Okay, here's a question for you guys though. Like, because there is a demand for these tickets, of course the price is going to go up.
Yeah.
But to the point of about 60 Brunei dollars, which is about 45 US dollars, would you still pay?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like 60 Brunei dollars to watch a movie that is now being destroyed by spoilers all over the internet is
Yeah.
a small price to pay.
So like to get in early.
Yeah.
I would.
And
I'd-
okay, so I do understand where this is coming from because I don't want to presuppose anything, but I'm guessing median income in China isn't. I don't know. I guess it doesn't make financial sense to pay 60 Brunei dollars for a movie ticket. But if they're cracking down on anything, they should be cracking down on all the spoilers that's coming out of Chinese cinemas.
That's true.
Because like
There's been a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So,
a lot.
I don't know. I would pay 60.
I mean, if people
basically.
bought K-pop tickets and then reselling them at 600, 700, this
That's
is
like 10 Olympics.
so.
Like, okay, if you told me right now, episode 9, first day, watch it for $100 or risk spoilers, I'll pay 500.
Really?
Yeah, I really would because it's about the experience, right?
And you
It's-
see him alone.
yeah.
No one else wants
Well, if I'm paying 500, I better be alone. Like if spoilers can really make or break your experience.
Yeah, and among our circle of friends, there have been quite a few people who have had their experiences for Endgame ruined
Yep.
already.
Yes, there really has.
Especially here in Brunei, because trolls exist.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, not
Brunei FM, if you're listening, that was terrible what you did.
not
was
just
so bad.
not just online, but in real life as well.
Yeah.
I was at the Infinity Con just now, and
Sounds like a fun event.
it was outside the con. It's a club, right? It's a sports club, and outside the con there's a pool. So there was a group of kids. They are like 10 years old, passing by me, and then one kid was going, "Somebody died. The name died. The name died." To the other kid, and the other kid, "Stop spoiling the movie."
Oh wow.
This is why my dad used to hit me. So I wouldn't spoil these things for people.
And these are 10-year-old kids.
Oh, man.
wow.
It's terrible.
Oh,
yeah,
someone
it's
should
terrible.
educate them.
No, it's
Maybe
not
somebody
that.
should spank them.
So it's the problem is there's been so much fear around it. It's no longer just spoiling something. It's a power thing.
Yeah.
Like you have this power over other people that you could ruin their entire experience, and some people, frankly, are just jerks.
Yeah.
Like,
From kids.
come here, you little sheep.
Sheep. He said
Why
sheep.
I don't.
The first year you were born,
You weren't that cute.
like this legacy never was started before you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
true.
if they're 10.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
10. Oh.
Okay, let's jump universes over to Star Wars now. There has been a rumor, and it teases a major romance which will be shown in The Rise of Skywalker. We've seen a bit of it in The Last Jedi, and it's between Finn and Rose Tico. Is this
Okay.
a surprise to anyone?
No.
Sorry, you said last year I blanked out. What did you say?
There is a
It's Ray and Kylo.
sorry.
Yeah.
I was
What?
hoping it's Ray and Kylo.
What's going
Ray
on?
and
What seriously?
Oh
What is
no,
going
no,
on?
not
Okay,
Ray.
there is a rumor that a major romance will be featured in The Rise of Skywalker, which is the movie that's coming out in December, and it's between Finn and Rose.
I support
expected
it.
Yeah,
I
because
expected it.
we saw
Good
it.
for you,
Yeah.
Finn.
We saw it at the end of
You found love.
Oh, of course.
I'm looking at TV right now. Like,
Maybe because
why?
TV feels like
I'm
Finn.
like
Represented?
like
relatable.
he,
huh?
yeah, relatable.
Because he's bald, you're bald.
Yeah.
something you can aspire to.
Yes.
Oh, okay, he's not.
It's like he's not bald. It's just black hair.
Oh.
We all have like hair.
Oh, it's so bad. Okay.
So,
I
yeah.
don't know what you're
Absolutely
talking about.
think that is the most useless subplot in the history of Star Wars.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I'm done.
All right, he's done. Let's move it along before we lose this panel. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is something we talked about last week.
And we'll be visiting next year.
Hey, hopefully.
All right, we're gonna
No?
start a
Bring
go.
me, bring me.
Yeah.
We're-
You're invited.
You're invited. You have to pay for yourself.
Of course not.
We're gonna be starting a GoFundMe really soon for this. Reservations will soon be available, and tickets will be up for pre-sale for the one in Disneyland. Yeah, and there's no indication of how much it will be, but I'm guessing very expensive.
Small price to pay to pretend you live in the world of Star Wars.
Right. So that's opening
One
at the.
day?
Less than one day even.
Yeah.
You know what's easier?
24 hours.
Being an extra in one of the films.
That's so cool.
Are you sure that's easier?
No, I mean it's it's a joke.
Like don't play with my feelings.
CB wants it. CB wants it. He wants to be a stormtrooper.
I'm going home. This has been too much for me.
Okay. Here's a movie that's coming out from Warner Brothers and DC. It's Wonder Woman 1984. We're kind of still excited for this movie because
Alright.
it is the
It's
follow-up
okay.
movie to Wonder Woman, the debut of this much beloved character. There is a set photo that was sort of on someone's Instagram. Sometimes they take kids to visit the sets, like kids who are experiencing some hardship or have some medical problems. And it's kind of like a Make-A-Wish Foundation kind of thing. So these bunch of kids went to visit the set they were shooting at. And the set piece that they posed with Gal Gadot to take this photo is very, very similar to a location in the US. Like a very iconic location. And apparently it's the White House.
Oh.
Well, I'm not saying the internet is ablaze, but people are saying that, wait a minute, there's going to be a scene where Wonder Woman is in the White House.
But that makes sense though. She was the emissary for Themyscira to the world of man. She was an ambassador.
Ah.
And she would have been appointed in some way or somehow by the White House to be a representative from Themyscira. So that kind of makes sense.
This is why we need Kai in every
Yeah, this is why we
episode.
need Kai.
So that makes sense. That
My
clicks.
He's our comic fact checker.
Also, if the rumors are to be believed, so Linda Carter, the original Wonder Woman from the 77 TV show, played the President of the United States in Supergirl, the TV show.
Oh yeah.
I believe. There's tons of rumors, don't quote me, that said that she may be playing a powerful figure or slash character in Wonder Woman 1984.
Wow.
So it would be an interesting nod to Supergirl if she played the president as well. But
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she's in the White House.
But in the 80s, as a female president in US,
It's I mean, this is a world where Batman and Superman meet Wonder Woman in one movie, which is BVS, and Superman and Wonder Woman don't even talk, so I'll buy it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Back to your statement about her being an emissary for Themyscira. Does this entail that she has to wear the costume? Because in this photo, she's in full Wonder Woman costume.
So there's a very famous arc in the 70s by Denny O'Neil. A lot of iconic feminists like Gloria Steinem really berated him for that because he was like, okay, I'm going to remove the iconic Wonder Woman costume and give her a pantsuit and a tracksuit. And basically she had an office, she was doing day jobs, and a lot of people were like, you're depowering Wonder Woman. So I wouldn't be surprised if in this kind of scene that they're shooting, she comes in a full Wonder Woman outfit and then they tell her like, in order to do this role, you can't wear this suit. So there's like a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that she wears suits. Because when we meet her in BVS and Justice League, she's already acclimated to the human sense of fashion. Like she's
Yeah.
wearing, But in Wonder Woman, in her own film, she wasn't really comfortable with wearing the
So how do you
clothes
protect
of,
yourself?
contemporary clothing. So I think it'll be a nice tongue-in-cheek reference to that.
Okay. Still looking forward to that. Wonder Woman 1984. That's
No
coming out.
trailers yet.
Sorry?
No trailers yet.
Nothing. It's
No,
next year, so
it's next year.
You got no rush.
Ben Affleck, who was in the Warner Brothers DC universe, he has taken a backseat now because of, after letting go of the role of Batman and confirming and then not confirming and then coming back to saying, maybe I am, and then now he's definitely not anymore. He's going to be directing now, and he's going to be directing a movie called Ghost Army World War II.
Nothing to do with the DC.
I wonder what that movie's about.
Oh, well, it's about a ghost army
and World War
During
II.
World War
during
II.
World War II.
Whoa, I wouldn't have thought of that.
I thought it was a
I knew-
steampunk
No,
movie.
I thought it's a rom-com.
Yeah.
How'd you guys get that? You guys know anybody in Warner Brothers?
This apparently tells the story of how the Allied forces, particularly the US, inflated the numbers of their enlisted troops to sort of make the Nazis worry that, oh my God, they have
That
so many
happened,
troops.
yeah.
The Allied forces, especially the British, what they used to do was they used to put on the British Isles, that's in Dover, they used to put like inflatable tanks and
Yeah, I've seen
so that when
pictures.
planes flew by, they were like, oh my God, they have like a whole squadron of
Yeah,
tanks when
yeah.
all they had were just bouncy castle
Yeah.
tanks,
Yeah.
which is
I
which is
read
kind of
this.
cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to see this, and he's proven himself to be a really good director.
He really is.
With movies like
an
Argo,
Oscar-winning director.
an Oscar-winning
And an
director.
Oscar-winning writer for Good Will Hunting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Wow.
Just
more
not for
good things.
Batman.
One hit wonder.
One hit wonder.
I really don't think so. I really don't think Ben Affleck is a one-hit wonder. I really think his biggest problem is
Matt Damon.
the lack of Matt Damon. No. I think Ben Affleck's biggest problem is that if he chooses a material that is out of his
Creative zone.
Like out of his wheelhouse.
wheelhouse, it just won't stick.
What about that movie? What was it?
Live by Night.
Live by Night.
Yeah, so I really think
Wasn't that his wheelhouse?
I don't think so. Like it didn't
It
feel
has-
like a Ben Affleck. Like when I watched The Town, when I watched Gone Baby Gone, and I watch Argo, I go, yeah, I see the one person signature in all these movies. But
Something went very wrong in Live by Night.
I think it's because that was greenlit on the basis that he would be Batman or something. So there was this huge
I
kerfuffle
think the
that
problem
year.
with the movie is the title say "Live by Night" and majority of the scene is on the daytime.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it. Like Friday Night Lights, a lot of it was during the mornings.
Yeah.
People are like, no, it's about movie nights.
Yeah.
Why is doing it in the morning? Yes,
Sure.
That's what's wrong with that movie.
Okay. Here's a movie that could go very, very wrong. It's Rambo 5.
No, wow.
No, it could. It could.
Wow.
We don't know yet.
It's not about how hard you get hit.
We don't know yet.
Oh, you get up.
It's how hard you get hit. And keep moving. That's life.
We don't know whether
That's
it will
how
be
winning
good
gets
or
done.
not. But Sylvester Stallone has shared some intense photos on his Instagram account, and I have to say he's looking good.
Oh, he looks great.
Yeah.
He's older than my dad.
Okay.
I have to remind myself every time I see my dad complain about a headache. Every time my dad says I have a headache, I'm like, Sylvester Stallone made Expendables at your age.
Okay, sure. And
Okay.
we're going to end it with this bit of news because it's becoming a tradition now that every week we have new news about this movie that's coming out. It's so bad, but it looks so good, and I still kind of want to watch it. It's Hobbs
No,
and
no.
Shaw. And there is a report that Keanu Reeves has joined the
No
cast.
way.
Now that is the only way I pay for a ticket.
It's a report. Now, it's not confirmed.
I don't think so.
It's a report that he's joined the cast of Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw.
As John Wick?
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Because Hobbs and Shaw is also hunting him for the reward.
Right, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did
I believe you,
did
Kev.
Hobbs or Shaw killed a dog?
No, but you see, now that there's nanotech that can save Idris Elba, if you inject it into the dead dog, it comes alive.
Isn't that Pet Cemetery?
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, a 3-way crossover.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this.
So, apparently, the report says that Keanu Reeves will be playing the villain who is orchestrating the events of the upcoming spin-off movie and has currently unspecified links to the main antagonist, which is Brixton, played by Idris Elba. So, I mean, he could be like the big boss, or he could just be like a cameo at the end, like how they introduced Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? I'm still gonna watch this.
Even without John Wick, I'll still watch it.
His name is Keanu. But anyway, so that's the news this week on the Wayang Crew podcast. If you want to get in touch with us here on the show, do check out our contact links down below. And check this out, guys. We're going to be giving you a review of Avengers Endgame. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, just me.
Sorry,
This-
it's making me so sad.
This is the biggest movie of 2019 and potentially the
So
biggest
far.
so far.
No, it really is, guys. Come on.
on.
What's gonna be this?
It's the
Lion
biggest
King?
movie of the
Yeah.
decade.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so this movie opened early here in Brunei. We got
Yeah.
it on the 24th of April,
Best day of
2019.
my life.
The international release was scheduled for the 26th, so we got it a couple of days early. Yeah, like you mentioned earlier on in the show, we especially have been very good in not spoiling it for everyone. We've obeyed Thanos' will, and we have not spoiled it for anyone. But let's hear
It's
from
not-
you.
It's not Thanos' will this time.
It's
Oh.
the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
Who
it's
direct? Guys, they directed the movie, so they directed Thanos. So technically, it's
not- Thanos was in Infinity War.
Thanos,
demands
yeah.
your silence.
But
That
this
was
time
Thanos.
it's the Russo brothers.
Del, what did you think of this movie? Very quickly, before we're going to do a non-spoiler and then a full spoiler review later on in the show. Let's get your quick thoughts on Avengers Endgame.
Very quickly, then I will say the plot. So people got dusted away.
They want
And
to
then-
save them.
So basically,
the
this
rest-
is basically this is like how the current members who didn't get dusted try to save the world and get people
Or
back.
move on. We don't know.
Yeah, or move on. we
some
don't
people
know.
move on, but not us.
Okay.
I don't think we should do a breakdown of this movie. Like,
No.
No.
If you don't know what happened,
Okay, the reason why I think we should is because people may think this is basically Infinity War Part 2, but it's its own thing.
Yeah.
but it is a continuation of the events
I guess
of
so.
Yeah.
Infinity War.
It's what we call a Mexican standoff.
Oh, right.
Avengers.
This is straight after the events of Avengers Infinity War. The remaining members of the Avengers and the world at large are trying to grapple with what had with the decimation that was brought about by Thanos snapping his fingers. And it's basically them trying to make sense of everything and trying to see if they can fix it.
That is basically it. All right, so let's go back to Dell.
I don't know. Sounded like Infinity War Part 2 to me.
Okay.
You know what would be great? Like
What?
normal people who live throughout.
There should be
After-
Disney
af-
Plus
after-
series is about that.
After being snapped, and then like, oh, my husband got disappeared, and then met another guy, and then Avengers
Became happy
Endgame
and fell in love.
happened.
Oh, wait.
This is why we had the Netflix series of the Marvels.
And
Yeah.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is that not a thing anymore?
And there's still things.
It got
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
it got
Do we like
it got
Agents of
snapped by like Thanos, so half of the series are gone.
Oh, that's true.
Actually, they went to
there is
space. I think yeah.
They went to space and then
I
they
watched
came-
one episode and I hated it, so I was done.
Okay.
Okay, so we're
So,
back at square
Endgame,
one. Dell,
right.
yeah, what did you think of Avengers Endgame?
So Chris Evans posted that he cried 6 times, and then that became a thing. Like that
He
was like
cried
the
5 times.
benchmark.
Six.
No, 6 times.
6. Oh, we cried at the same times.
You're following the wrong Chris Evans.
Oh, okay.
Then that somehow became like a benchmark for people to keep count of how many times they
And
cried.
also how
I'll just say this. I cried once. I cried for 3 hours.
That's a good one.
All right, Nikkei.
It's satisfying. That's it. That's all I can say.
That's all you can say without spoiling it.
Without
because,
spoiling, it's
because
satisfying.
anything we say about this movie, it has the
Eventually,
potential to
yeah.
just ruin your
Yeah,
experience.
exactly.
TB.
for those who have followed this legacy from the day one, this is a great ending for that chapter. For those who have not followed, don't watch it
Don't watch it.
because you'll be
Yeah.
asking so many
Like,
questions.
so many questions, yeah.
What's this? What's that?
Yeah.
Isn't he dead? Wait, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
Okay, Naz.
agree with TB. Like, if you've never watched the other Avengers, or if you even miss some of the key movies, then this will be very confusing for you, and you may just feel indifferent to certain scenes. Because this movie kind of calls back to most of the previous movies. Like, even little scenes, little, like, statements they say, things they do, it, like, references a lot of things.
she has notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how the music used in this movie are some of the soundtracks from the other movies, but they use it for different characters this time. Like
Guardians
for,
of the Galaxy.
yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. Ant-Man's music is used for another character scene.
It's just music.
Yeah, music. Yeah, and I like how there's a mixture of like happy scenes and then really sad scenes, and we have comic relief from like 3 of the characters. And
Rocket's still alive, guy.
yeah.
He listens to music too.
Yeah. What can I say without spoiling? Nothing.
That's about it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I cried 6 times.
Yeah, Kai.
Okay, Chris Evans. From the dawn of time. I believe it was Shakespeare who once said that was lit.
That was lit. That was lit. That's
No. I walked into Endgame with I had been burned by a vast majority of the last 3 years worth of Marvel movies, and that's me being honest. I've made it very, very clear that I actually only probably like about half the films that have come out. The other half need to be snapped away.
because Chris Evans.
No, it's really not. It's just a lot of the solo stories, having been introduced to a world of crossovers, to a world where the team exists and all these characters share the same kind of, they share so much screen time. Solo movies feel like a step down for me. And because crossovers were more interesting. So I walked into Endgame telling myself that this really would be the movie that determines my investment in future Marvel movies. And having seen this film, I go, this is gonna be the movie that determines my investment in just superhero movies, because it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And having read tons of these books growing up, I can say that this is the most superhero movie I've ever seen.
I agree.
Like, it's just so. There are scenes that obviously we'll talk about later. They're in a movie that you go, I can't believe I witnessed it.
like the whole time I watched, it was like you're reading from the comics.
Yes.
Like just it had that feeling.
Okay, and finally, Afif.
Well, I don't know how to top that off, but I feel bittersweet watching it.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, I don't know how to continue from this.
Ah, okay. So you're like at a loss at this point.
It's like watching.
Oh yeah. Right after the movie, I didn't know like how to
Yeah, how to
live
feel.
Yeah, am I
anymore.
gonna invest my time on this?
Yeah, 10 years of
I would
11
say
years
after
of
watching that
investment.
movie, I realized that a star was born.
If I were to summarize everything that that you guys have said for your quick reactions, I'm just gonna say this: I was very looking forward to Avengers Endgame. Having rewatched Avengers Infinity War just a couple of days before stepping into the theater to watch Endgame, you do feel what the directors wanted you to feel for each and every character. And as Tibi said, if you have been following the MCU from day one, which is Iron Man, and you've kept up with these movies, 21 movies, this 20-second movie is really going to pay off
Yes.
Yeah.
for you, and it's such a bittersweet thing because it's satisfying, but at the same time it is bittersweet. I'm not gonna say very much more. I was challenged by a couple of friends who had not seen the movie after we watched it to say, look, if this movie is so great, why are you not talking about it? I was like, I'm not talking about it to you because you have not watched it. And I
Yeah.
feel that you need to experience it. It's nothing that I can put into words.
Yes,
You have to sit there. If you are as big of a fan as I am, then you're going to feel what I felt. If you're not, if you're a casual fan, it's still good. It's still a good movie. I'm not going to say that it's a bad movie in any measure or if it's lacking in any way, but we'll get more into that in spoilers. And with that, let's circle back to Dell. Let's start off with like your first spoiler, I guess, like, or things that you want to talk about this movie that we could not speak of in the normal review. Now, moving forward, this will be a full spoiler review. We're going to be talking... Spoiler alert. We're going to be talking extensively about plot points and things that we've seen in Avengers Endgame, which may ruin the experience for you if you have not watched this movie. Del, let's have your pure, honest thoughts about this movie.
The plot itself started off with it's almost directly continued from the previous movie, and the rest of the team that is left behind, they want revenge, and they went to look for Thanos to kill him or to find a way to bring the others back, but they couldn't, and there lies the event that spiraled all the characters down a path where they either have to move on or they keep holding on to hope. I think after having seen it twice and having a few days to digest why they had a 5-year gap. Initially, I thought that was too long. They didn't need to have a 5-year gap. Maybe like 2 years could be enough already. But then after thinking more about it, I thought, 5 years, let it weigh down on these characters, especially when Black Widow sacrificed herself at the later part of the movie. She said, I have been working towards this moment for the past few years, is to come to this, and then it's right for me to sacrifice myself. I thought that was really poetic. It needed to be 5 years in order for it to translate to the audience as well. That was one of the impactful scene, was to see Hawkeye and Black Widow battle it out to see who would sacrifice themselves. I thought that was really touching. But at the same time, if you are the Red Skull standing beside them on the cliff watching these two going at it,
What are they doing? Mortals.
most entertaining thing I have witnessed in centuries.
He'd be like,
There
why don't
was
you
an
both
American
die?
once.
All right, Nikkei.
The one that really impacted me watching it, even the first time, is when Ant-Man came out from the quantum realm and he was like trying to figure out what's going on. And to see his daughter Casey, already a teenager, from that you realize that it's been so long and you kind of feel like how the world is
Changed.
like
Adapted
after
already,
the
yeah.
one, like how miserable,
How lacking the world is now.
like it's like so it's such a depressing world to be in. And like that we really see like this is what the people who did not get snapped are going through alone, or probably like they like some of like all their family got snapped and they're left there alone. Like, and you see Casey alone in the house, and when the first time she saw her father's got like that was I cried.
Heartbreaking. Okay, TB.
When Thor went in time and saw his mother, that was, I don't know, a bit painful in a good way, because it was very sad, because he missed his mom. Oh no, I want to cry.
I cried there too.
I
Yeah.
cried there too.
Are we just talking about the parts that made us cry? What
No,
are we
I
doing?
mean,
Impactful.
we're just talking about like
Impactful,
like
right.
Yeah, so his mom died, and he knew how she was gonna die, and the mom was just going to accept whatever was going to happen without knowing.
She knew.
She knew.
She knew.
But I don't know what she knew, but she knew something was bad was gonna happen, and she didn't want him to tell him what was gonna happen. And I like how it made Thor a different person after seeing the mom in the movie. Like first he was this fat bod
Well, yeah.
Thor, and then scared of doing anything.
He was still fat.
He was lost.
Yeah,
he was
but,
lost.
but he
and-
was fat. Dad bought good Thunder after that. Yeah, so I don't know. After that scene, it was all
downhill.
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 when it comes to
All right, Naz.
tears, tears wise downhill.
Okay.
Right.
I think one of the peaks of the movie was when Captain America wielded Mjolnir. I think that time, I cried happy tears when I saw that. Because, like, we knew he was worthy. And then to see it on screen and him, like, summon it, it was
How did
so
you know
epic.
he was with?
Oh,
Because it-
it's straight from the comics.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, okay, I thought not without the comics.
Yeah.
Was there?
It's
In-
a
in-
process of elimination.
In Ultron, he almost lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so by then I was like crying happy tears. But then there was this one scene when it seemed like Thanos called all his army to destroy everyone.
It was just Cap.
And then it was just Cap, like standing up. And then all of a sudden, Doctor Strange's circles started appearing. And that was when, like, my body was trembling because, like, I was like, oh, because I knew what was going to happen. When all the heroes, all the
Who got snapped
Avengers
off.
who got snapped off appeared. And when Falcon was, like, on your left, then I think I just broke down. Like, I was just... like I was just melting pudding, like melting ice cream. Yeah, that was the best scene. Like when
want
all,
me?
yeah, when Black Panther said his Black Panther thing. That was so
The
cool.
the Wakandan war
yeah,
chant.
yeah.
Okay.
So-
Kai.
So we're talking about the most impactful thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you want to say most about this movie?
Okay, so again, drawing history from comic books, and not just Marvel comic books. In general, comic books are a long form of storytelling. For about 13 years, there was one of my favorite comic book characters is Green Lantern. I know we got a terrible Ryan Reynolds movie, but that's nothing compared to what the comic books is.
It's okay, right? Ryan Reynolds knows.
Yeah, so for 13 years, there was this writer, Jeff Johns. He wrote an issue every month. In some months, he wrote 2. In 13 years, he wrote something like 200 issues of Green Lantern. And it was one of the most succinct storytelling narratives I've ever seen. It was a beginning, middle, and an end. And I always thought that this kind of long-form storytelling can't be done on screen because you only have 2 hours per film. And the best thing to have happened in the MCU, in my opinion, is Steve Rogers. Because he's got this underdog story, and then he's selfless. He checks the boxes for the prime example for a hero, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of our hero should be flawed. Human beings are flawed. I don't look up to my neighbor. You know what I mean? Like, I want to look up to the guy that I can never be. And the most impactful thing for me with Avengers Endgame is sitting in the cinema looking at Steve Rogers as an old man. Because not only was this person an embodiment of physical and moral perfection, he's now an old man who's lived his life with what he really wanted, which is, getting married to the love of his life. And, I'm saying it, I'm tearing up. But to see a character in film get this kind of closure, this was the first time in any franchise, let alone in any film, a character was given a proper ending. Very few famous characters. Michael Corleone never got a good ending. Luke Skywalker got a rubbish ending. Yeah. There's still one more movie, but I don't think they can save much. But to have sat there and realized, wait a second, everything from Captain America, the First Avenger, to every movie he's appeared in is part of his long-form story.
Yeah.
Feels like a 7-chapter comic book, and I thought that was just beautiful. So that was the most impactful thing for me.
Finally, Afif.
Right. For me, the most impactful is I got 2 things to say. One, what I like about Infinity War was the one before, right?
Yeah.
So in this movie, they let the character breathe, not jumping into the battle or a solution right away. So it gives us a theme of like despair for the first, I think, 1 hour. So I like how each characters have their own way to like deal with it. And for me, that's very nice for us to see, because usually during superhero movies, we always love the action parts, but never get to see them experience pain in such a different state. And okay, coming back to what's impactful to me was when Doctor Strange put out his finger and told Iron Man that this is the only one chance that
We win.
yeah,
Yeah.
the only way we win. And he doesn't know what it is, but he does just do it anyways. And we all know what happened to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great moments here. For me, I'll just do like a quick summary of all you guys. You guys mentioned, about despair and seeing the world as a miserable place. Yeah, I totally agree with you, because when we first started the story, what we never saw in Infinity War was how this impacts the normal person, like the normal person with a family, and that's the very first scene that we get in this
Yeah.
movie, which
Hawkeye.
is Hawkeye losing his family, and he doesn't understand why, he doesn't know why. And as we see through the movie, that drives him on this whole different tangent, and he becomes Ronin, and he's killing people left, right, and center, because he feels that that's what he needs to do in this world that doesn't make any sense anymore. You brought up Cassie, and yeah, it's again that whole 5-year thing which Del was talking about. So you really see the impact of what Thanos did to the world, like 5 years.
If I could add
Yeah.
to that 5-year thing, when the snap happened in Infinity War, the very first thought in my head after the movie ended was, if a kid was born after the snap, then they would grow up in a world without ever realizing that half the world disappeared. And I think that's why there was that 5-year gap, because 5 years means a lot to so many different ages.
Yeah.
Like if you're 9, you'd be 14, like a teenager, like Cassie. If you were just born, then you'd be able to talk and express yourself and realize that you missed out some great event in human history. So I think that's why I thought the 5-year gap was nice. Although the cast looked like they all have great skincare routines apparently.
Okay. Yeah, so that's about it. I mean, this movie, if anything, Afif sort of brought the whole thing back. And this is not your typical comic book movie where a superhero comes in and saves the day. This is more of like I would like to say it's a lot more than just a comic book
Yeah.
movie now. There's elements of drama, there's comedy in here. You feel the stakes, you love the characters, you want them to succeed,
Yeah.
and it comes full circle. Like as Kai mentioned, this is one of those movies that satisfies even the most critical of critics, and it brings everything full circle for everyone in this movie. And that in itself is the most satisfying thing for me. Like that's the most impactful thing for me.
Everyone gets an ending.
Everyone gets an ending. All right, we've talked a lot about this movie, but at the same time, we haven't said anything about Avengers Endgame. So I think to just cap this whole discussion off, what I will say now is that whatever we tell you on this podcast about what we think this movie means to us and whether or not you should go and see it, that answer is definite. You should go out and see this movie.
Yeah.
Because it is an event and it brings a close to a chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and possibly this saga. Whether or not you agree with what we say, it's up to you. Like, you have to see this movie for yourself, because as you've heard from the 6 or 7 of us here tonight, there is so many things that are happening in this movie and everyone feels differently about all these things. For example, Kai, like he mentioned the arc of Captain America. I saw an arc as well for Iron Man. I'm not saying whether one is better than the other. It's just that, I identified a little bit more with Iron Man's
yes.
arc, and maybe TB
Yeah.
might, maybe
I was always an Iron Man.
Yeah.
yeah.
side.
So you do this. You
It's a
you
good
do.
thing we never watched Civil War together.
Kau duduk sebelah sana.
So yeah, I mean, any final words? And I'm not gonna go through the panel. I'm just gonna, sort of, if you want to say something about Avengers Endgame, and then we'll do our ratings, and
If you've never watched any Marvel movies,
Don't watch this.
watch all the other
Yeah.
21
Please watch
movies.
the first few.
Probably
At
not
least.
all 20.
Not
Okay,
all
maybe
21,
not.
but like
You can
the
skip
main-
Captain Marvel.
Iron Man,
But-
No.
Captain America.
You would need to watch the entire. Okay, I'm gonna
Phase
throw out
one.
the must-watch list. Okay,
Phase one.
watch the entire Phase 1. Okay, then you watch Thor 2,
Doctor Strange.
Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Civil War, Doctor Strange. Then you can take a breather, go straight into Black Panther,
Ant-Man
Infinity
2.
War. We're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Infinity War, Ant-Man 2, mid-credit scene for Captain Marvel, and then Endgame.
yeah.
Just a mid credits.
Yeah.
Because it really is chronologically
I
the
know.
only important one.
yeah.
Like, if you want to watch the whole Captain Marvel, go ahead, because there's no way to rent it right now. But the mid-credit scene is online from the Marvel YouTube channel, so.
okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I like to make a shout out to Karen Gillan because her performance
That is
as
true.
That's
Nebula
Nebula.
Yeah.
is
Spot.
Oscar nomination
Yeah.
worthy.
Yeah, the acting in this movie is off a different level. And that's what Afif said, right? Like, it doesn't feel like we're waiting for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of this movie feels like we're waiting for something to go right.
Yeah.
And performances from like Karen Gillan, Scarlett Johansson,
Oh, Scarlett.
Thor.
no.
No, not Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth walked on set thinking, no, I'm sorry, I fundamentally disagree with what happened to Thor in this film. Back to Nike's original point, Kieran Gillen, Scarlett Johansson, Rene Russo, who played Thor's mom, Frigga? Freya, sorry. And it's so funny. Rocket Raccoon is so funny in this film.
Yeah.
very.
And it's so hard to believe he's voiced by a Oscar-nominated
Yeah.
actor who made one of the best movies last. It just blows my mind that this is Bradley Cooper. So yeah, that's my only thoughts. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching all 20 plus films.
If you have the time, sure.
If you have the time.
If you have the time, sure.
But the acting is of another level, like you said, because every single actor has their moment to shine.
Yeah.
Scott Lang, when he was frantically looking
Looking
for
for
the name
yeah,
of the daughter.
absolutely.
When Elizabeth Olsen faced Thanos,
Yeah,
she was
that-
pissed.
that was
she was
good.
Yeah.
pissed.
And then
Hawkeye, when he
when he was in
pushed
Japan.
by Thor.
and also in Japan when he met Nat again and he said, "Please don't do that to me. Don't give me
Oh,
hope."
yeah.
I thought that was really good.
That was heartbreaking.
And then the scene on Vormir between the two of them just destroyed me when they were deciding who would
who was going to
sacrifice themselves. Cap had a really good scene in Peggy's office in the 70s.
Oh,
Yeah.
that like a 10-second pause, was it? When he just looked at
Looked
her.
at her.
Yeah.
There's
Oh.
nothing else going on. It's just on his face.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the chills.
Yeah, and
That's
then
why I didn't stop crying.
And then I actually cried every time Cap disappeared. And then Robert Downey just gave the performance of his life
Yeah. it's
in
so
this
good.
one.
When he died.
When he
When he-
met his dad the first
When he
time.
met
That
his
was beautiful.
dad.
When his dad, so it was from there that his performance went on different calibers. Like when he met Howard Stark the first time, and all the way till the end when he
Hugged.
said, "I
Oh,
am Iron Man."
yeah.
That part.
And the saddest part is they have no chance of getting nominated an Oscar for this.
I mean, Black Panther got nominated.
No,
Not for the
acting-wise.
best act.
Oh,
Acting
acting.
wise.
No,
Yeah,
probably
'cause
not. It's a shame. But the Academy has nominated some pretty rubbish films in the past, so they're not exactly cool in my opinion.
Yeah, Gaga.
Josh Brolin's performance was great.
As
Thanos,
Thanos,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So good.
And the cinematography in this film is heaps before anything the Russos have done.
Okay, so the acting is great. The story is great. This movie overall is great. You should go out and check this movie out if you are even a minuscule fan of anything comic books. Let's very quickly go through our panel tonight. Del, what do you give this movie, Avengers Endgame?
I can't rate this movie. There's no way to rate it. Like the critical part would be to break this movie down in the technical issues of filming a movie. But this is like
Masterpiece.
if you're a comic book fan and if you're a fan of the MCU, there's no way to not say this is a 10 out of 10. Because it wraps things up so beautifully, like Kai has already said.
Tentatively, it's a 10 out of 10.
Well,
but
if you want to put it that way, sure.
yeah, you have to give this full marks, just for what it is. All right, Nikkei.
I know how to rate it. Is the Citizen Kane of comic books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very tall
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
TB.
The only reason why I'm giving it 9.5 out
Oh,
of 10
Damn.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, Tibbs. Sorry. Tibbs.
is because
Tib. Don't.
I want more of it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I want
Okay.
more of it, and
Because
I
Star
can't.
Lord wasn't there to ruin it for you
Yeah.
to
I
have
Can't.
more.
I can't because
Yeah,
because
like,
3 characters just is not gonna appear in the next
Yeah.
whatever they're gonna give us.
Which 3?
Nat, Cap, and Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah. Because Cap is retired, like super retired.
See,
All right.
so that's the only reason why I'm.
So that's
Yeah.
that's a very valid point. Naz.
I give it a 10 out of 10 because it closed the Infinity Saga and like the first 3 phases very beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kai.
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10.
It was too painful.
See, Kai saying 1. I'm gonna put a 0 behind his 1.
No, it's one of the very few 10 out of 10s I'll ever give. Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Actually, no, I'm pretty generous.
And
It's actually-
Afif.
Solid 9. I'm serious.
Get out. You get out.
I'm serious. I'm opening the
Tell
You
us
get
why.
out.
Okay, to me, I like the motivation of Thanos in the Infinity War.
Okay.
Here, he's suddenly like, okay, this is personal now. It's a bit.
Yeah, because
I don't know,
he's
convenient.
younger.
I think.
I mean,
so. I was thinking about that.
it's more beautiful
He's less
there.
objective.
Yes.
In this one, but I think I know what it is. Is because
Oh, he saw the endgame.
no, because in Infinity War, it was a no matter what happens, I gotta get these stones, right? So that's why he threw Gamora off the cliff, and he was ready to do whatever
Yeah.
it takes. And I think in this one, the reason why it's personal is because he goes like, it's a bit petty, but he goes, they won't even let me do this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
because he
that's
knew-
what I felt.
Yeah,
He knew that he already did it.
Yeah, and
And
it's
they-
like you can't even do anything right. Like
Yeah.
I think that's why it felt
Yeah.
personal.
No,
So-
no.
Actually, no, you're
that's
wrong.
not the reason.
Nah, the reason is, and this is very fresh because I walked out of the cinema 2 hours ago. Thanos says this during a monologue towards the end of the movie before the big fight. He says, "I expected the universe to be grateful after snapping, and you guys should be living life to its fullest because resources are abundant. Now you guys are not grateful. I'm gonna decimate the whole universe and
then
start from
start
fresh."
fresh, yeah.
So that's his new
But
motivation now.
that's why Afif said he got personal, right? But then I think it's because he saw the future, whereby he snapped his fingers and then dusted half of the population. But then he also died. He got killed.
He got killed.
And then, as like you said, the world's not grateful, so he took it personally.
Yeah,
But there is a reason why he took it personally.
because he saw himself die.
Yeah,
that's
and
one
also
And the
world is not good.
Here's
Yeah.
also an interesting thing to think about of Josh Brolin's performance is that these two Thanoses are so different.
Different.
Yeah, different.
Yes.
They're
So
so different.
good.
This
You
one
guys got
acts
me now.
younger and more temperamental.
Yes.
And the other one is
I
just
prefer
like,
the older one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the older one's like,
You know,
my potatoes.
here's my potato. Here's my stew.
My space potato.
Yeah.
that's not potato.
Yeah, it's a solid
A
9 for
tuber.
me.
That's-
Okay.
I'm giving this movie the very first 12 out of 10.
Yes.
That compensates
Oh,
for that.
are we allowed to do that? Oh, sorry. 94 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 12 out of 10 because I watched the movie this week with a friend of mine who unfortunately does not have very many chances to watch movies. He's a bit cynical. TB knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's very cynical actually, and he will call out things if he doesn't like it. So I made him a promise and I said, "Look, this movie is good." And he says, "How are you sure this movie is good?" I told him, "If we walk out of this movie and you don't turn to me and say that was a good movie, I'll buy you dinner." And I didn't have to buy him dinner. And last night he actually talked about the movie again, which is something he never does. He watches a movie and then he's like, "Okay, we'll talk about it tonight." And then tomorrow he's like, "Yeah, that was a good film. Fine, he's done." But he was talking to you guys
Yeah,
about it last
yeah.
night. That was 2 nights after he had watched it. And one of the things he said surprised me. He said it's 3 hours long. It didn't feel like it. It could have been longer. So this is a guy who doesn't like sitting in the cinema, and he said, "I want to see."
More.
I will
I wanna
echo
see
the
more.
sentiment. It didn't feel like 3
No, it
hours.
didn't.
It
I
did
did not.
not.
First
Yeah.
time
If
watching,
anybody's seen Batman versus Superman, they'll know what I'm
I
talking
kept
about.
looking at my watch.
So
Sorry, Zach, for the unnecessary.
so
shade.
that's. I mean, we can't give you a justified review. We can't give you a finished product, which is something that we can call a review because this movie is.
It takes a lot to take in.
It takes a lot. It takes even more to sit down and explain it. I mean, we watched this movie on Wednesday. It's now Saturday. It's been 3 days.
We're still
We're
talking.
still
We're in the
still
endgame
about
now.
it.
Talking about
We're
it.
Still
still-
crying about it.
We're still
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about it. We're still crying about it. Oh, let's do like a last thing because we only heard from Naz and I think Del. Let's very quickly go through the panel before we say goodbye. I don't think we're gonna do an Apelele this week. Del, how many times did you cry in this movie?
I started off with
zero.
Right,
For
like
none.
one. I
One.
cried one
Okay.
time, which lasted about 3
3
hours.
hours. Okay.
The movie was 3 hours and 2 minutes.
Okay. Nikkei?
I don't know. I didn't count, but I cry a lot. That's it. A lot.
Cried a lot. TV?
4 to 5 times.
4 to 5 times.
Can I
Nazim?
list them down?
All right.
Okay.
Very quickly.
The first time I cried was when Scott Lang visited Cassie, and then the second one was when Natalie died. Yeah. Natasha. Not Natalie. Oh,
Natalia.
when Natasha died.
Portman.
The third one is when everyone came back through Doctor Strange's portal. The fifth, when Captain America wielded Mjolnir. Then Tony's death, And the last one was when old Steve Rogers was by the lake.
Okay, so that's a total of 6 times.
6.
Kai?
Probably the most heartless one here. I only cried 3 times.
But they were
But you
big
cried
cries.
really
you
hard.
cried.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
cried
Okay.
really hard.
Okay. Let's attack the brown guy. So here's the thing. I did stretches of crying. So when Black Widow died, I was like, I was crying. I have met a lot of people over the last how long has it been 3-4 days?
3 days, yeah.
Even at the convention, close friends of mine who said that when the rest of the team came in from the portals, a lot of them started crying. I don't know why, because that was the only part of the film where I felt relieved.
That's happy tears.
Yeah, but I didn't cry that.
No,
Like
the reason that you cry there, but which you didn't, was because it's like a comic book page came to life.
yeah. So I mean, what? I don't. I see. I genuinely don't understand the crying bit.
Because it's like when the first time the Avengers got together and that camera pan around the team.
I didn't cry. I just smiled.
Ah, okay. So that's where your problem lies.
Yeah. So, like, even a really good friend of mine, I bumped into today. He goes, "I couldn't stop crying when they came through." I'm like,
Oh,
"Did-"
what? The Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
You know what, Kai? I didn't cry on that. I was excited, but I didn't cry.
I think
I was
Right.
really
No,
happy.
I think
Yeah, I was happy. I
I
didn't
cried
cry.
happy tears. I was like shaking.
I was smiling.
I've never cried. It's because I've never done happy tears. Like I don't get it. Like
yeah.
So I didn't cry, but okay. So when Natasha died, I definitely cried, and then the next time I cried was when Tony Stark died.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hate Tony Stark, but the moment Cap disappeared, and then he appeared on the bench, it was like all the way, bro. Like I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
we
feelings
heard.
on 100%.
Yeah, I saw that.
Couldn't stop. Couldn't stop. All
Don't
the way
lie.
from
It
there.
was not 100%. It was like 150%.
Yeah. Couldn't stop.
Okay. Afif.
5 times.
5 times.
First is when Thor met his mother.
Oh.
When Iron Man met his father. I don't know why. It's a personal thing, I guess.
It's a dead thing, yeah.
Yeah. And then when Tony met Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay,
And when
maybe
he
it was
hugged
more.
him.
Yes.
And then when
Tony
the
died?
other one. Oh, Tony died is the 5th one.
Yeah.
There's one more.
Natasha, no?
Oh no, when I don't know why, but this made me cry. When Peter Parker met his friend back when he was back at school.
Okay.
Yeah, it made me cry. I don't know why.
Okay.
Wow, you must miss school.
Yeah. I think I cried the most, like 6-7 times. They weren't like cry tears. It was just like tearing up, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
that hit me.
Oh, are we counting tearing
If we're
up?
counting tearing up, then
Yeah, because that changes everything.
then we're like Dell.
No, I mean, I couldn't possibly be like sobbing for 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
You could have had me fooled.
Humanly impossible.
Oh, are we counting tearing up?
Then
That's a lot then.
that's a
Well,
lot.
okay, fine.
Are we revising this? What's happening?
Okay. What I'm saying is, I teared up a lot,
Yeah,
Okay.
we teared up.
but I properly cried. I think about maybe 6-7 times.
yeah. Like,
Tears came out
Yeah.
6-7 times, but my eyes were welling with tears multiple times in this
Multiple
movie.
times, yes.
Right, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, you satisfied with that answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, tearing up. I teared up quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot.
Right. So that's I guess you can call it a review. It's not really a review. It's more our
It's more
thoughts.
like a what to expect.
It's
What
like
to expect.
it's like post Endgame
Reaction, yeah.
therapy.
Yeah.
Like we need therapy.
Yeah, with therapy. This is the biggest movie in the world right now, and possibly for the whole
foreseeable future.
for the
Until
yeah.
Avatar 2 comes out.
for the for the
No.
foreseeable future.
Please, make
Do-
Avatar 4. If it has such a
Avatar
impact on
I
Okay.
will make a bet on air.
Do head out to your local cinemas to check this movie out. It does deserve to be seen on a big screen and with the proper sound system. And if you can get into this movie with a group of friends, that makes the experience all that much better. And yeah, I don't know what else to say to make you go and watch this, because chances are, if you're listening to this podcast and this review, you are going to watch it, or you have already watched it. Do let us know what you think about Avengers Endgame. We're not going to have an update this week because we're a little bit pressed for time, this recording session, but we will be back next week with another review, and we'll see whether or not we want to talk a bit more about Endgame, and if we still need like our little support group here for therapy. I'd like to thank all my panelists this week: Del, Nikkei, Tibi, Nazu, Kai, and Afif. And yeah, for Kevin, this is the Wayang Crew. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.